Okay, how many of you have ever been to a slumber party? How many of you, while you're at that slumber party, played games that your parents didn't know you were playing? Anybody ever play with the Ouija board? Anybody ever go into the bathroom and play Bloody Mary? Why would you do that? At best, she's going to scratch out your eyes. Jessica was having her 14th birthday party. Now, I should note here that Jessica didn't really know when her birthday was, as she was adopted from China when she was a baby. And her parents always celebrated her birthday on her adoption day. And her parents were very interesting people to begin with. Her mother was a short, superstitious Scandinavian woman from Minnesota. And her father was practical, tall, dark, and handsome from North Dakota. And Jessica was pretty, outgoing, popular, and always up for a dare. This last trait got her into a lot of trouble. When she was 8 years old, she nearly scared herself to death on a dare that she would put a doll on a haunted grave in the cemetery at midnight. When she was 11, she went swimming in the gravel pit pond in February. When she was 12, she went running down Main Street completely naked, painted red, and yelling the aliens were coming. All on a dare. That last one actually got her into court-ordered counseling. It didn't work. She was always up for a dare. Now, the party was supposed to be pink and fluffy and princessy, but as soon as her parents went to bed, Jessica started the real party. She brought out the scary movies. She brought out the Ouija board, and she started to make dares. Now, most of the girls were up for this, as that's what they expected for a party for Jessica. But there was one girl, Maria. She was timid and didn't like all this scary stuff. And so, at the risk of having her underwear put in the freezer, she climbed into her sleeping bag and pretended to be asleep. They watched a movie about a haunted doll and asked the Ouija board all kinds of questions. When the movie got over, one of the girls suggested that they ask the Ouija board what they should play next. With giggles, all the girls gathered around the board and put their hands on the planchet, and Jessica asked, "What should we play next?" Giggling, they all started shouting out the letters. B, O, O, L, D, Y. The giggling had stopped now. M, A, R, Y. "That's stupid!" one of the girls shouted. "Who did that?" Nobody admitted to moving the planchet, and some of the girls decided that it was time to go to bed. But a couple of the girls were intrigued. "How do you play?" they asked. Jessica was the expert. What you do is you take a candle and you put it on the left side of the mirror and you light it. And then you close the door, lock it, turn off all the lights, stare into the mirror and say, "Bloody Mary," and turn around. You do that 3 times, Bloody Mary will appear in the mirror, reach out, grab you, pull you into the mirror with her, and then you're condemned to spend eternity as Bloody Mary. "That's not how it's done," one of the girls said. "You have to light a candle and put it on both sides of the mirror, and you have to turn around 13 times, and she only reaches out and scratches out your eyes." "I know," said Jessica. "My mother told me. My dad was furious, but my mother told me, and I know." "Well, if you know so much, I dare you to do it." Well, that was all it took. That was all it took. Jessica was up. She ran into the kitchen. There was only 2 kinds of candles in the house. Her mother's scented candles and the birthday candles. She grabbed the green birthday candle off of her birthday cake, picked up a match, ran back to the girls, and then, pretending to be afraid, She marched into the bathroom. The girls watched her light the candle. They watched her close the door. And they heard her do up the chain. And they waited. One by one, the girls started to get bored. Started to go climb into their sleeping bags. It seemed without Jessica right there egging them on, the party just wasn't that interesting. Soon, they were all asleep, except for Maria. Around 3 o'clock in the morning, Maria got up to go use the bathroom. She found the door was still chained, so she snuck upstairs to use the parents' bathroom. When she came out, she nearly bumped into Jessica's dad, who was incredibly embarrassed because he neglected to put on his robe. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "Jessica's still in the one downstairs," she said. "Still?" Jessica told on them all. Or Maria told on them all. She told them about the scary movie. She told them about the Ouija board. She told them about Bloody Mary. At the end of her telling, Jessica's father was furious. He ran, he got his clothes on, he went downstairs and he knocked on the bathroom door. "Jessica, come out here, I want to talk to you." No answer. Some of the girls started to stir behind him though. "Jessica, come out here now!" There was still no answer. He tested the door and found that it was chained on the inside. He couldn't see anything through the crack, it was just dark. "Jessica!" Now there was a little more concern in his voice than anger. By this time all the girls had gathered around and Maria was explaining everything to Jessica's mother. When she got to the part about Bloody Mary, some of the girls started to cry. One of them shouted out, "Bloody Mary got her! Bloody Mary got her!" Jessica's dad kicked in the door, breaking the chain and slamming the door against the wall. The bathroom was empty. They could see a little green puddle by the mirror, but that was the only sign that Jessica had ever been in the room. The party was over. The police were called, the girls went home. The bathroom was searched, the basement was searched, the house was searched, the block was searched, an Amber Alert went out, and by the morning, the whole town had been searched. There had been no sign of Jessica. Jessica's dad was interviewed by the police and released. All the girls were interviewed by the police and every media station in the area. But their story was so unbelievable, they were all put in court-ordered counseling. Jessica's mother was beside herself with worry. She spent most of her days sitting in the bathroom just staring in the mirror. She screamed like a madwoman when her husband tried to clean up the party. "There's a hint of where Jessica is in that mess." She wouldn't let him pick up so much as a candy wrapper. 3 months passed, and most of the city was back to normal. But Maria would come over most days and sit with Jessica's mother in the bathroom. One day, Maria was nodding when Jessica's mother looked in the mirror and saw a mouse run across the floor. She screamed and they both ran out of the bathroom. Jessica's mother stepped on the Ouija board, slipped and fell right on her back. She reached, grabbed the board, and looked at it. She looked up at Maria, and they both said at the same time, "Jessica." They ran over to the table, they put the board on the table, they placed their hands on the planchette, and they asked together, "Where is Jessica?" And the board told them, BLOODYMARY. Without hesitation, Jessica's mother ran into the kitchen, grabbed the candle, ran back to the bathroom. As she lit the candle, Maria closed the door and turned off the light. The chain was still broken, so they couldn't lock the door. Maria leaned against the wall as Jessica's mother looked into the mirror and said, "Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary." first, standing next to her in the mirror. Jessica's mother turned the last time and saw it as she came face to the mirror. There, in the room with them, was Jessica. Her eyes were gone, and blood stained her face. As she stared at them with empty sockets, she whispered to them soundlessly, Maria screamed. Jessica's father burst into the room, looked down and saw Maria laying on the floor, her hands over her eyes, rocking back and forth. He reached down, he grabbed her by the arms, lifted her up. What happened? He said, what happened? And he pulled her hands away from her face. And her eyes were empty, clear, solid whites. Involuntarily, he stepped back and turned away, looked right into the mirror, where he shocked when he saw 3 standing in the room. Maria, his wife, and Jessica. Their eyes were gone. Blood stained their faces. He quickly turned back to Maria, surprised to see that she was standing in the bathroom alone. Maria looked up at him with those colorless eyes and said, Bloody Mary. That is all she ever said.